In this video, I will be showing you what I did for my historical research IRP. The first story I read was called Chasing the Nightbird, and it was about a boy named Lucky Valera who was a sailor. This story is about a teen named Lucky who was a boat rigger for a famous ship named the Nightbird. His father was the original rigger of the ship and one of the most famous riggers from around the world, but his father passed away a few years ago. Lucky had grown up on a boat for as long as he could remember. The ocean was his passion. However, one day his world was turned upside down. His ship docked at a little town named New Bedford near Boston. When he started to wander around, his half-brother, Fortuna, kidnapped him. Lucky's father had apparently owed him a large debt, but since their father was dead, Fortuna took it out on Lucky and made him work at a cotton mill nearby. There Lucky met an escaped slave boy of similar age named Daniel, and they became friends fairly quickly. Lucky soon found out that Daniel could not swim and decided to give him lessons. At the docks where Daniel was learning to swim, they met a man named Rab, who on a later lesson said that he can get Lucky some sailor protection papers. These papers would allow him to go back to a life on the ocean and eventually catch up with his old crew on the Nightbird. Around the same time that Lucky found out that Daniel couldn't swim, Lucky also met an abolitionist girl of similar age that required help. She promised that if Lucky helped her, then her uncle would help Lucky escape on his boat. Her name is Emmeline. All began as planned, but eventually rumors spread to the teens that the kidnappers and slave catchers were coming early. By this time, Daniel and Lucky found out separately from Emmeline, and they decided it was best to go see her because they thought that she was going to know what to do. Lucky disguises himself as an old woman, and Daniel disguises as the old woman's daughter. On their way to see her, Emmeline, the boys visit Rab and ask if he has the protection papers. He does, but there are only enough for one person, so Lucky turns them down. They then arrive to speak to Emmeline, who begins to tell them to go to the quieter, less-known parts of the dock where most of the smaller ships are. Then Emmeline's stepmother returns to the house, so the two boys have to hide in a secret room under her staircase, originally created for runaway slaves traveling the Underground Railroad. The boys then leave after Emmeline gives Lucky her brooch, which is similar to a pin. At the docks, all is well until Fortuna finds and catches the two boys. Lucky sees an opportunity to escape by jumping off a small bridge and tells Daniel to do the same, but Daniel, being afraid of heights and water, did not jump from the bridge. So sadly, their plan failed. Fortuna agrees with Jessup, ironically Daniel's original owner, to sell Danny and Lucky into slavery. But Fortuna, like Lucky, has naturally dark skin, an almost African skin tone, so he is knocked out with a club and going to end up being sold away as well. Both Fortuna and Lucky are of Portuguese descent, therefore Jessup can get away with this abduction and selling of them into slavery. After all this time, Lucky still surprisingly has his father's knife hidden away on his back, so he uses this to cut his and Daniel's bonds and make an escape plan. The boys decide to weaken the ropes used to control the mast and sails, rigging them to fail, in order to slow down the ship, make an escape, and accuse Jessup of illegal activity. After all this time, Lucky still surprisingly has his father's knife hidden away on his back, so he uses this to cut his and Daniel's bonds and make an escape plan. The boys decide to weaken the ropes used to control the mast and sails, rigging them to fail, in order to slow down the ship, make an escape, and accuse Jessup of illegal activity. While Jessup is leading his crew to the next slave roundup spot, the crew and Jessup find out that all of the slaves have escaped. The only people left are the abolitionists who freed the slaves and are now trying to search Jessup's ship. While Jessup is leading his crew to the next slave roundup spot, the crew and Jessup find out that all of the slaves have escaped. The only people left are the abolitionists who freed the slaves and are now trying to search Jessup's ship. Jessup then pulls a gun on Emmeline's uncle, Albemarle Mayhew, one of the helpful abolitionists, and threatens him unless they all let him escape. The abolitionists allow Jessup to escape and his crew to begin to set sail, but soon after Captain Mayhew and his crew follow and are gaining behind them. Captain Mayhew then opens fire on Jessup,
created using Powtoon.